My sunshine, my sunshine, you're my sunshine. Wake in the morning, open my eyes, sunshine on my face, beautiful skies. You're next to me, laying in bed, not just the visions inside of my head. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wedding Wednesday. Today, I'd like to focus on the guest list. One of the most stressful things I think most people have to deal with, regardless of the wedding itself and all the aspects, that bring this whole puzzle together. The list and who to leave out, which family members you don't get along that great with. And if you don't invite them, how bad it's going to look to the other people if you're inviting three people from the same house but you don't speak to one person. Or you have a group of friends, you want to invite some and leave out the rest. I mean, a lot of these things also depend on your venue, how many people it could hold, and who are the most important people to you. And sometimes you got to put yourself ahead of other people, because as much as you want to make everyone happy, if you're inviting people that you know for a fact don't get along and everywhere they go there's a brawl, I don't know if you want to invite three, four people of that same type of, with the same kind of energy in the same event, even though you split them up and put them at separate tables, which is a good idea, but you can't babysit them through the whole night while you're trying to enjoy yourself. So, you have to think of all these things. But I would say, starting with the guest list, start with closest friends, and well, start with family first, then go down to friends, start with your closest friends, and then work your way down. Because what happens a lot of times, people just throw in random people. You tell a lot of people you're getting married, everybody wants to come. And a lot of times you don't think of the numbers until you reach down to the end. You're doing invitations, and then you realize you have like 2,000 people. Most of those people you don't speak to. A lot of them you don't even know. Your mama invite the whole church. Your dad invite the whole warehouse. The groom invite all his friends, the guy working at Taco Bell, the guy at the gas station who pumps his gas, somebody down at the Stop and Shop. You know what I mean? And before you know it, the wedding is filled with people you don't even know them. You never seen them one day in your life. And chances are you're not going to see them again. Okay? So it's not a free for all, especially if you don't have the budget for that, because a lot of these halls, they hold a certain amount of people. And then even if it's big enough to hold a lot of people and they charging, let's say, $100 a head, for the food, etc. And then you have all these people that don't mean anything to you, just there to eat, basically. And a lot of times people think of the one wanted to be all this, but what about your life after the wedding? Do you own a home? Are you going to be able to eat after the wedding? Are you going to be able to pay your bills after the wedding? So, before you start making this grand list, put the people that are most important to you first. And if you know you only want to invite 200 people, for example, and when you put all the people that mean the world to you, that have been with you through most of your life and a lot of your ups and downs, and you know for sure you need these people there, they're important to you, they've supported you through, a lot of things, and they are most important. After you invite those people, if there's only space for 5 people left, and then you have to divvy up that between the bride, the groom, the groom's mother, the bride's mother, the groom's father, the bride's father. That's five. That's 6 people already, and there's 5 people only left. So somebody's gonna be mad because they can't bring somebody else along. And if your family is paying for the wedding and then they want to invite 10 other people or 20 other people, then I guess you can't say much and really wouldn't bother you that much because you're not paying for it. But for you to be paying for it and everybody is bringing in so many other people, like taking up stray cats off the street and stray dogs, and everybody's in there, you know what I mean? And then you're looking through pictures and you're like, who is this? Who is this? You don't know these people. So unless you have unlimited resources, or somebody else is paying for your wedding, and then you're like, well, they're paying for it, so the extra 100 people they bring in, they're gonna feed them. But if not, people are gonna be upset, people are gonna be disappointed and whatnot. But as I said before, whose wedding is it anyway? So after you've sorted out all the closest people, friends, family, whatnot, and then you make room for whoever's left, and then you got to think of the seating arrangements, if you want round tables, square tables, who to put to sit next to who, what table you're going to put grandma on. You're not going to put grandma on the table that has, a bunch of young people and they're using profanity and whatever. And depending on what type of person grandma is, she's not going to be about that life. So you have to pick your seating arrangements carefully. You know what I mean? And try not to create a disaster, because case in point, you're not going to put 5 people or 6 people that can't handle the alcohol at one table, and then all of them drink and then they're fighting in your wedding, and you have these memories for a lifetime. So you have to really think everything out. And depending on how far away your wedding is, if it's a year away from now or whatever, you start putting down the people that are closest to you first. You start thinking how many people the hall could accommodate, and what size of wedding do you want to begin with. A lot of times people don't even notice. People max, do you want 1,000 people max? Which in my opinion is a bit much, because out of those 1,000 people you might really only be close to a good 100. You know what I mean? So start thinking from now. Every time you think of someone, because a lot of times your family alone could fill a whole hall. You know what I mean? With all your distant cousins and so on, your siblings, if you have a big family, their kids. I mean, a lot of times your family is most of the wedding party anyway. And then this person want to bring their friend, and that person want to bring their boyfriend. And before you know it, it's a circus. So after you find your venue and you know how many people it holds, but you can start doing this from now, and then when you find your venue, you're going to just have to keep crossing out people that are that important to your life. And if they're upset they can't come to the wedding and they don't speak to you after, you don't even know them like that, or you're not close to them, or you don't know them at all, because everybody's inviting their friends, their relatives, their co-workers. So a lot of these people, you're never going to see them ever, so you don't invite them. Your life still goes on. So just a little something to think about. And I'll probably do another video on a different topic and still bring this back up, because that's what I do. But for today, all things considered, and I was thinking of not doing a video because I'm really not feeling well at all. I can't even explain it. But there are people who look forward to this weekly, and I just, still wanted to do what I promised myself, and, for the people who are looking forward to it. So, as I said, I will touch on this again another day, but today is just, allotted to this. Start writing names, crossing out names, deciding on table sizes, how many people you're going to put at a table, who you're going to put to sit next to who's paying for the wedding. Because a lot of times you get into a lot of fights. The groom want to invite a lot of people. You're like, I don't know these people. Or the bride has more family members, and then the groom is like, well, how come you have 200 people and I only have 100? Because my family make up 150 and I have 50 friends, and you're bringing, you know what I mean? You're bringing 100 strangers. I don't know these people. So, you got to really work this out and try to be on one accord. So, that's all I'm going to say about this for right now. Hope you looked at halls already. Hope you thought of the size of the wedding you would like or could afford, or both. And, that way you could have a bigger vision of how many people could hold, how many people you could cater to. And then, when you start making the list, from up front, the hall could only hold 200 people. We got to choose these 200 people wisely. So a family alone is 100. You know what I mean? So think about it. And then you have to start setting up, the table charts and who's going to sit next to who. Make your day as stress-free as possible. You have to also think about, what are you going to have? Are you going to have a wedding with no kids, which some people do, depending on the time of the wedding and what type of event you're having and what type of music you'll be playing? It depends on you. Do you want families? Do you have that type of atmosphere? Or are you going to say everyone could come and then a certain time when the kids go home, then we're going to play the ratchet music and twerk? You know what I mean? All these things, as simple as it sounds, all these little pieces make up the whole puzzle. So you have to think about all these things. What type of music, what type of setting, what is the image, what is the theme for the night, because oftentimes you can't think about something without thinking about something else, because they all come into play. Because sometimes you don't even stop to think like this has nothing to do with that, you might be thinking, but then when you really add it up, yes, it does. Because depending on the crowd and the size of the venue will also determine if you want to have square tables, rectangular tables, round tables. If the place is small and crammed, round table is going to be blocking up, having unwanted space. Because not unwanted space, that's not what I'm trying to say. If a space is small, square tables are much better, because this kind of squared off and you could start going from around the pyramid and then work your way to the center, and you know how to leave out the space. With round tables, it's kind of, I don't even know how to explain it properly, but is because it's round, you could like it's think of a Rubik's cube. You could fit a whole bunch of squares into one small space. But with the circles, then you have these spaces left out. But then the way how the spaces are, people can't really maneuver through the spaces, because people going around and around these tables, turning their body all out. You have to think of all these things. So depending on the crowd will determine the size of the space, and the size of the space determines how much space you have for tables, and what shape of tables would best fit which space. If it's a big round space, if it's a square space, if it's a rectangular space, how many people you're going to put at the table. But the guest list, you got to start with that from now, even though your wedding might be a year away. And then as time go along, you might realize there are people going to be dropping off like dead flies, because you no longer talk to this person, this relative, and this one don't speak. They had a big brawl in your house. You don't want either of them there, sad as it may seem. So get your list and check it twice, even though it's not Christmas, and start adding people and, figuring out who is more important to you, that you really want to be there for you on this most important day of your life in most cases. Okay, guys? See you in the next video. Hope all is well, as I said. Have a blessed, love you all, smooches. Ain't no question, to you I belong. And baby, you know that my love is strong. You're the hot chocolate, and I'll be your cup. Come here, my darling, please fill me up.